Hello again, crafters. This week we are looking at the story of Jacob and Esau. Actually, this is part 2 of the Jacob and Esau story, which we covered a couple of weeks ago, up until the point where Jacob had to run and flee from Esau. So this is the second half of the story, part of which features a wonderful message of forgiveness and the power of forgiveness. So that's what we're going to highlight in our first craft today. We're going to make a healed heart, or a healed broken heart, essentially, that demonstrates how forgiveness can mend and repair broken hearts and broken relationships. So we're going to start off by cutting a large heart. And going to make this nice big heart. We cut out of paper. And now we're going to cut it into more pieces. So I'm going to kind of zigzag it together. And you could even have this be part of a message. You could say how when we are mean or angry with people or do ugly things, that can really hurt our hearts, and all we're left with is broken pieces. But when we are willing to forgive and also recognize the power of God's forgiveness, that heart can be put back together. So you could do that again as a message, or you could just talk about it as you're crafting. And then we're going to put these heart pieces back together. I mean, if you want to, you could even use Band-Aids to show that healing, or you can just glue them together as well, as long as you remember how the pieces fit. That's the tricky part. How tough are you going to make this on yourself? So I've got clearly I made it tougher than I meant to. My heart, which needs to be pieced back together. And once you have established the way that your pieces go, more or less, you can put that heart back together again. Kind of feels like a Humpty Dumpty moment there. And there we go. There's half of my heart. And here comes the other half of my heart. Once I've got that all there, I can glue it down. You thought for a minute I wasn't going to get it. Don't you worry. And then we can add extra decorations to this if you like. If you want to throw on some extra stickers, or some glitter, or whatever you want to make it really special. You could even have some gaps. You could leave some gaps in between the spaces on these pieces here, and then you could explain how precious and beautiful a thing it is that God heals those and mends those breaks. Or you could just have it like this. It's sort of a puzzle within a craft. And then we can write across this heart, which you could do before you cut into it as well. Forgiveness. Forgiveness heals a broken heart. And then we could write another reminder. Love and forgive. Now, of course, there are a lot of powerful, wonderful, beautiful Bible passages that discuss forgiveness. Ours happens to be from the story of Jacob and Esau, but there are a lot of great ones that involve forgiveness, even with families. So there's one simple forgiveness craft that you could do. Now our next craft is going to be a little bit more focused on the actual Jacob and Esau story. So this is actually going to look at how God blessed Jacob and his family. And so I'm going to use 2 paper plates here. And you'll see what I'm doing in just a moment. And so on one of these plates, this is going to be my top plate. I'm going to cut this into, I'm going to cut a quarter out of it. Just going to kind of gauge where my quarters are going to be roughly. And then I'll caption this top plate. This is going to explain how God blessed Jacob and gave him many sons. So part of this story is that God allowed Jacob, despite his problems and despite his troubles and things that maybe he shouldn't have done, and I'm just adding some color here, but even though Jacob was far from perfect and made a lot of mistakes, God still used him and still blessed him in rich and wonderful ways, and in fact made him part of this Abraham line, the father of many nations. He turned him into the nation of Israel. So I'm going to write down here at the bottom, I'll say sons of Israel. You could say sons or tribes. We're just going to write both so you get the idea. Now we're going to fill in all of those tribes. So what we're going to do is we're going to make kind of a spinner wheel here to remember these different sons of Jacob. And if you've ever seen Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, you probably can sing these sons' names, but maybe that's just me. I also did this for Vacation Bible School this year, so I got familiar with the story there as well. But what we're going to do on the second plate is we're going to divide it also into 4 parts. And I suppose if I want this to be, I'm going to actually mark it sort of like an X, which is not what I would traditionally do, but I want this to line up more or less. So bear with me. We're going to make an X around the plate. And there we go. Now we're going to put in each quadrant the children of Jacob. So there were 12 sons altogether. And not that this is terribly significant, but we're going to also group them with their mothers because there were 4 mothers, which is not condoned by the Bible. This was not a good thing. It caused Jacob problems, but there were 4 women who contributed to this family. So we will have their names marked in these boxes. So we have Zilpah, which was the mistress, maiden, concubine, etc. Zilpah was Leah's person. And then we have Bilhah, Also a fun name. That was Rachel's. And then we have Rachel. Oh, we're going to need a nice big spot here for Leah. I mean, they should all be the same size, really, but you know. And then, if you would like, you can also write the names of the sons in here if you have room. And I'm also going to mark them with stars. So, Leah, we'll start with her. She actually had 6 of the 12 sons, and everyone else had 2, but Leah was special because, you know, she wasn't that pretty, so God blessed her in other ways. So we'll put a star sticker for each of her sons, and if you would like, and we're also going to put one for her daughter because she just doesn't ever get that much credit, but she's part of the story too. In fact, a big part of another story in Genesis, which we don't talk about too much in Sunday school for very good reasons. Ask your mom if you don't know what I'm talking about. But here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Dinah. And so if you would like to write their names as well, there's the daughter. We have Reuben, Simeon, Levi, let's hope I have room, Judah, Zebulun, and Issachar. Then, those are some fun names. Over here, we have Zilpah. Again, she just had 2. Asher and Gad. Star stickers for her tree, though. Everyone gets stickers. Then we have Bilhah, who had Dan and Naphtali. Or Naphtali, I really am not sure exactly how to pronounce that one, which I apologize for. And then we come over here to Rachel, Jacob's favorite wife, who gave birth to his favorite sons, naturally, Joseph, and the baby, Benjamin, whose birth also killed Rachel, but that's just another part of the story. So we have our parts of the plate, our tribes of Israel. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this to the top with a brad fastener. And I'll puncture this through both plates carefully. Sometimes it helps poke a hole first because these fasteners aren't very sharp in and of themselves. So, I'm going to poke a hole, going to poke another hole, and now this is just kind of a fun review of this part of the story. How Jacob wound up with a whole bunch of children who then became the tribes of Israel. So God really used him in wonderful and amazing ways. So we have our spinning sons of Jacob here, along with their moms, because they need credit too. But there you have it. You can practice spinning it around, looking at all those sons, remembering the names, guessing the names, challenging the names, etc. But we have the sons of Jacob. So, 2 crafts to celebrate this other half of the Jacob and Esau story, which hopefully can inspire and help you as you work with your ministry wherever and with whomever that may be. Now, go make some crafts, make some disciples. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.